A 20,000-year-old mead recipe? And I can make it at home? Hey, this is Mike with Smoking and Drinking, and today I'm going to show you how you can make a delicious mead with a recipe dating back 20,000 years. And prepare your taste buds, because I have a recipe that complements this mead perfectly. I'll share it with you at the end of the video. What is mead? It is said to be the oldest form of fermented alcohol. Some say it dates back to African bush tribes from over 20,000 years ago. Mead is a simple recipe made from honey, water, and yeast. Back then, they just let the honey recipe ferment from natural yeast floating around on everything. Today, we're going to use Fleischmann's active dry yeast. We're also going to use 3 pounds of honey that I got from a local store that produces honey. And we are going to use 2 ounces of raisins, the zest from half an orange, and I've got a tea bag with black tea that I've been steeping for about 15-20 minutes, and water. And so the tea is going to give it that mouth feel, kind of like that you get from oaking or aging wine or mead in an oak barrel. This gives it those tannins. We're also going to add the raisins. We're just using sun-made raisins, and that's going to provide a little bit of nutrients for the mead and give it a little bit of texture, and maybe also add some of the tannins to it. The zest of orange brings up the acid level just a little bit, and of course the yeast creates the magic. So we'll go ahead and get started. I've got the jug of honey sitting in water. It started to crystallize, so I had to warm it up in just a bath of water, and we'll get that here. We'll get it on the scale, and we'll get our honey going here. Get our scale set on the right setting. We want pounds. All right, we got pounds. I have to reset that. And we're just going to set our fermenting vessel and our funnel, all of which have been sanitized in Star San. And we need to tear that out. And then we are going to try and get this honey, 3 pounds of it, into our fermentation vessel. As I said, it was crystallized pretty hard, so we're going to have a little bit of fun trying to get all this in there. But we'll give it a shot. It's going to be slow going. We'll get it there. You can see it's pretty viscous. This is going to be fun getting it into that fermenter. I better let up or I'm going to overflow. And we're overflowing. That's okay. No one ever said I wasn't messy. Now I have to sanitize. But that's good honey. Well, this is obviously going to take a while. We'll come back when we get this in here. We need to continue. Make sure you keep your thumb on there good and tight, like I didn't do. And we need to get all that honey dissolved into our must. Takes a while to get it all dissolved. Just need to keep shaking. It also oxygenates it. In the beginning stages of fermentation, the yeast need oxygen to develop those colonies. So you want to have some oxygen in there. Bubbles we see, that's good. Sometimes I just let it sit for a little while, a minute or so, to make sure, if there's still honey that's not dissolved, it'll sink to the bottom, and we'll see that pretty quick. So I just let it sit for just a minute. I don't think we've quite got it fully dissolved yet. So let's see what we know. We still got quite a bit on the bottom there. So we just keep shaking. Always want to be careful when you take your thumb off. Sometimes it spits. Also want to be careful not to shove your bung all the way down in there. If you get your bung stuck inside, it's going to be really hard to get out. You don't want to sit here and watch me shake all day. We'll be back when I got it all mixed up real good. All right, I think we've got it pretty well mixed. And we need to add the rest of our water. We're not quite at a gallon yet. So take the bung off, bring our funnel back, and we just have a little more. Probably won't even use this whole bottle. Again, like I said, you don't want to fill it too full because you will get, it will come out all over the airlock, which isn't really a big deal. If it does, you just put a rubber tube on there and stick it in the other end in a jar of water, and it's called a blow-off tube, and then you don't have a problem with the mess. I'm going to stop right there. I don't want to be too overzealous here and end up with a fermentation volcano. So, of course, now we need to mix it just a little bit again, just to make sure we don't have water on top and must on the bottom. Doesn't take as much this time. We just need to make sure it's all mixed together. Okay. Got a lot of oxygenation in there. That's good. Starting to spit on me here. So now we've got all our ingredients in there. We've got our yeast in there. We just need to take a reading. So take our turkey baster and our cylinder and our hydrometer, and we just take a reading. What we're reading is the specific gravity of the must. How much sugar do we actually have in there, or honey in this case? Fermentable sugars, or honeys. Honey is the type of sugar. Okay, we're floating, but good. Get all my zest back in there. I don't think we need that. Put that back in the sanitization liquid. Let's see where we are here. Get some of the foam out of the way. Give it a spin. It's very foamy. Looks like we are too much foam. I can't see it. Looks like we're at 1.12. That's pretty high, but that's okay. So we will take this, put that in our sanitization bucket. Since we sanitized all this, we can pour this back in. I don't need to worry about oxygenation because we want that in there. And what did I say? 1.120. So I always take notes because I'll forget all of this tomorrow. So I just take a piece of paper, and I had some that I had printed on there real neat, but I ran out of those. Just half a sheet of paper. I use scrap paper. I write what it is. It's just a traditional mead. And the date. And the specific gravity or starting gravity, 1.120. And we put our ingredients in there. We had 3 pounds of wildflower honey, locally produced. We had 2 ounces of sun-made raisins. And we had the zest of half an orange. And 1 black tea bag steeped. And we used Fleischmann's active dry yeast, one teaspoon. 1 teaspoon Fleischmann's active dry yeast. And water to a gallon. Okay, I think that's everything. So I just take a little bit of tape. Well, first, before we do that, we need to get an airlock on our fermenter. Fill it with sanitization liquid to the fill line. Put our bung in. Put our cap on our airlock. I usually take the bung off, put the airlock in, and then stick it on the fermenter so I don't jam it all the way in there. It might not stay on. If it starts to pop off, I'll just get a rubber band or some kind of elastic, usually just a rubber band, and I just loop it around. It might stay in there though. It seems to fit right. So then we can clean the spot to tape our notes on. Got a little bit of must on the side there. Now I have to dry it off or my tape won't stick. A little bit of masking tape. And we put it into the fermentation station, the fermentation room. It's just a room in the back of my house. I try and keep it kind of dark. And we'll let it sit. Probably take a couple weeks, and we'll check back in then. Okay, it's been 10 days since we started our traditional mead, and the airlock has pretty much stopped. The raisins have all puffed up. They resemble a little bit more like grape than raisin. Uh, actually look kind of like peanuts, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Uh, what we need to do is take a reading and see where we are with this brew. When we started, we were at 1.120 on our starting gravity. So let's just see where we're at now. And squeeze your bulb in your baster before you put it into your brew. Okay. Let's get this covered back up right away. We are outside. We don't want little beasties to get in there. All right, we'll give the hydrometer a spin, get the bubbles off. We are sitting at 1.066. So it is still going. Slowed down quite a bit. As you can see, there's not really a lot of activity in there. I'm not so sure it's a stall necessarily just yet. We're going to just put this back in very gently so as not to cause any sloshing or bubbling. We let it pour down the side of the vessel very gently. Of course, we sanitized all of our hydrometer and our cylinder, so we don't have to worry about introducing any kind of infection into our brew. But I think what we need to do is maybe just give this a good swirl. Get all of the lees and the yeast and everything up off of the bottom. Get it mixed up into the solution and give it another, I don't know, 5 days or a week. See where we're at with it. If it's still sitting at 1.066 after a week, we'll do other things to try and get it going again. What did we use? We used the Fleischmann's active dry yeast. It's not a real aggressive yeast. We may have to add some yeast nutrient or maybe some more yeast. I hate to add more yeast. The yeast in there are probably still good. They're probably just struggling. There is a lot of carbon dioxide in there. You can see the airlock bubbling again. There's a lot of bubbles on the surface. So it could be just the carbon dioxide is causing the yeast to struggle. Again, the bread yeast is not real aggressive. So we'll let it set for another 5 days to a week and we'll check back. Better write down my gravity. Today's date, 1.066. Always remember to keep notes. All right, we'll be back. All right, we are here to finish the traditional mead. Last time we checked in was 16 days ago, and our specific gravity was 1.066. I think it's probably done, but we're going to take a reading, and at the very least, we're going to rack it off of the fermenter. We've got our raisins in here. They're still, I was swirling it periodically to make sure they stayed moist so that they didn't dry out or get any mold or anything. It's a pretty good least cake on the bottom. But let's go ahead and take a reading and see where we're at. As always, all of the equipment has been sanitized in the sanitization bucket. So we don't have to worry about infecting our brew. Get down past the raisin cap on top. I'm expecting this to be finished. Should be at 1.00 or below. Mead sometimes takes a while. You can't rush it all the time. But, yeah, it's floating pretty high. Let's see here. We are sitting at, looks like 1.066. 1.06, I'm going to call it 0.65. We are at 1.066 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 16 days. So I am going to say that it is finished. It has not moved. It's going to be a little on the sweet side. Not too bad. Let's see here. We can put that over here so I don't break it. It smells like mead. It's got a nice wine smell to it. Of course, it's a mead, not a wine. Let's go ahead and take a little taste. Of course, that's the ultimate reason we're doing this, right? It's for the taste. It's a little cloudy, but this is the first racking, so it's not unusual for that to be cloudy. You can smell the alcohol on it. We'll have to calculate the alcohol percentage here in a minute, but let's give it a taste. It's a little on the sweet side. It's got that good alcohol burn to it. You can definitely taste the honey. That's good. Okay, let's might as well finish it. So what we're going to do, we're going to rack it to a pitcher and get it off of the lees and get it off those raisins, and we'll rack it to another fermenter and let it sit for a while, let it clear out some more. I'll pour this in very gently down the side so as not to make a lot of bubbles. I don't want to pour it back in the fermenter because I'll stir up the lees, and it's no sense getting more in there than we want, so more than we have to. I'm going to put this back in the sanitation bucket so I don't knock it off. I'll put that in there for now too. And we've got our auto siphon, and this is a new one. I don't know if I'm happy with this new one just yet. I'm going to have to see how it works, but it's not quite the same as the old one was, but we'll give it a try. Put that over here. I'll just lay it here out of the way. Of course, we're going to need to elevate our mead above the pitcher, so I'll have to get, I forgot to bring in something to elevate that, so we'll have to get that. I'll be right back. Well, you know, we have a nice big bucket of peanuts here. That ought to work well. Hopefully that's not completely out of the camera shot. Okay, as you know, we put the one end in the pitcher, the other end, the auto siphon, into the fermenter, go down about halfway, and we just give it a few pumps to get it started. Yeah, that's what I thought. This thing isn't working either. Boy, we're going to have a lot of lease in this thing. Well, that's disappointing. All right, we're going to have to rethink this. I ordered two just in case, so we'll get the other one, get it sanitized, and see if that one will work any better. We'll be back. All right, let's give this a try, see what we got here. Auto siphon goes in halfway down, other end's in the pitcher. Make sure that's It's down there a little ways, and just gotta make sure your hose doesn't fall out of the pitcher. Well, I'm thinking this one doesn't work either. Okay, so I got two defective auto siphons. I will not be recommending those to you. We're gonna go back to Old Faithful, give it one more try. We've been having troubles with this auto siphon, so I've purchased a couple new ones, bought a pair of them, and they just are not working. So we're gonna go back to Old Faithful here, see if we can't get it to cooperate with us. Has been sanitized. Hey, looky there. I think we are in business. Okay, well, we're definitely going to have to let it sit. Let all that lees settle out of there now, but it's okay. We're not in any hurry, so we'll rack it to another fermenter and we'll just let it sit. It'll settle out. Somebody asked me today why I don't use bentonite to clear, and I have used bentonite before. It works. Bentonite is kind of a food grade clay that helps attract the molecules that cause the cloudiness and help them settle to the bottom. I found that just time works well. You don't have to add anything. If I'm in a hurry, I might use bentonite. We did use pectic enzyme. We added pectic enzyme to this, I believe. No, we did not. Did not add any pectic enzyme to this. So, yeah, we're just gonna have to let it sit. If we have a hard time, we might try cold crashing. That's another method of clearing, where you put it in the refrigerator, and sometimes that works. But like I said, we're not in a hurry. We'll just let it sit, let it clear. But first we got to get it off the lees and off the raisins. So we are going to come up a little short here, I think, but that's okay too. We just drink what we have. We don't have to have a full gallon. We're going to be close. About 4.5 bottles, probably 750 milliliter bottles. That's usually about what I get out of a gallon of wine or mead. Of course, as soon as it starts gurgling, that's when you want to pull it up out of there. So that's about all you're going to get. So now we just want to get the mead out of the hose very carefully without making a mess. Okay, and yep, we are just short of a gallon. So it'll be about 4.5 bottles. All right, let's get that down. Let's get this somewhere. Let's just put it in the sanitation bucket. Get our bucket of peanuts out of the way. All right. So we have, looks like, if I look on this side, we are at just over 112 fluid ounces, probably 114, something like that. So next, we'll rack this to another fermentation vessel and put an airlock on it and let it set. Now there's a pretty good lees cake on there. Those raisins really puffed up. I don't know if you can see that in there or not, but that's some people take the lees, not the raisins, of course, but the lees. You can reuse that. You can clean the lees, and because there's still some probably. I think they make a drink called Skeeter Pea out of the lees. We may have to try that sometime, but let's get our other fermentation vessel and we'll get this racked over to there. Okay, as you can see, we have our handy peanut bucket back, our peanut bucket of elevation. So this time we're going to take, let me do this first. So since this is not a full gallon, this is a 1 gallon fermenter, but 1 gallon is like right to the top of the neck here. I think we'll be okay, but I don't want a lot of headspace, so I'm going to take this glass pickling jar weight and put it in the bottom just to add some extra volume to it so that we raise that level a little bit. Just a little concerned that it's not going to, we're going to come in below the shoulder here. So that should give us just enough to get it up above the shoulder and reduce that headspace so that we reduce the chance of oxidation while we let it sit in conditioning. And on the auto siphon, we are going to take the little filter cap off the bottom because we want to get as much out of that pitcher as we can. Hopefully our auto siphon plays nice. Again, same process. And we just pump to get it started. 3 or 4 pumps. And we are going. And I'm just going to put it all the way to the bottom. There's no lees cake there, so we're just going to let it do its job. Don't know what our problem was with the auto siphon last time. We just couldn't get it to go, but seems to be working now. Those other 2 will go back. They do not work. Won't even mention where I got them from. There's no need. But yeah, we'll just, it's good to, if you can afford it, it's good to have some backup equipment. So I am going to order another one just like this, same brand. I should have done that the first time, but just trying something a little different. But this one seems to be the one that we like, so we'll get another one of those just to make sure we have a backup. And so this mead, this was just a traditional mead. We used wildflower honey, sourced locally. As I said, we didn't use the pectic enzyme. We did use a black tea bag and steeped it for our tannins. And orange zest, we had half an orange zest, and of course our sun-made raisins. If you're going to use raisins, you want to be sure that they don't have sorbate or any preservatives on them. Sun-made natural raisins seem to work the best. They don't have anything on them or in them, so we just used 2 ounces of sun-made raisins. So this is just a simple mead and a good starter mead. So we'll get this racked over, get a lid and an airlock on it. We'll let it sit. We might put it in the fridge to cold crash it just to see how that works. I've done it a couple times, but we'll do it on this one just so that you can see. You won't see how it works, obviously. You won't see inside my refrigerator, but we'll give that a try and see what happens. Usually a few days in the refrigerator is about all you need to do. So we'll give that a try. So there you go. I'm glad we put that weight in. It's got it just above the shoulder. I'd like it to be a little higher, but we'll get the rest of the meat out of this hose. That might get us up there where we want to be. I'm going to take this out. Let's bring this down. Done with the elevation. I have done this before and the hose is flipped out and I had wine everywhere. So I try to be as careful as possible because as you know, if you've watched my videos, I'm the messy Marvin. Okay, see, there was enough in the hose to get that up a little higher into the shoulder. So I'm happy with that headspace. That's not going to be a problem at all. So that will work just fine. Let's move this over out of the way. And get a lid on this just so we don't get any floaties or any weirdness like that on there. And I need to take some notes. Get my pen here. Today's date. And the final gravity, Fg, was 1.065. And we racked to a wide mouth fermenter with a pickling jar weight to add some volume to it. And let's get our airlock with some Star Sand solution up to the fill line. And our cap into the grommet. Being careful not to shove the grommet in. Make your lids tight. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator, do a cold crash just to see if we can't clear that up some more. And put our note on there so we know what we've been doing. And we will check back in a few days. Or maybe a week. We're using Ninja Woodfire pellets, the all-purpose blend. So that ought to give us a nice smoke. So we're just gonna wait for we need to hit ignite to get the pellets lit. All right, let's go ahead. No need to preheat, it says. So we're just gonna go ahead and get these babies in the basket. Going to be a full basket, but that's okay. Plenty of piggies for the whole family. There's room for one more here. Nice thing about these Ninja smokers, when you open the lid, it stops the timer. So let's get that lid closed. We'll be back in about 11 minutes. Some of you might be asking, why didn't you degas? Well, it sat so long and there was equal pressure in the airlock. When we racked it, there was not a lot of gas in there. It had degassed itself. If you let them sit long enough, they will degas. So we didn't have to do that, in case you were wondering. So it's been 3 days. Traditional mead sitting in the refrigerator, cold crashing. And we were hoping to see some clearing. Obviously it hasn't cleared much, but that's okay. That's not unusual for a mead. And mead just takes time. It takes time to clear. It takes time to age and mellow. Like a good bourbon, it has to age. And so we're just going to put it back on the fermentation shelf, and we're going to just let it age, let it mellow. We'll put it in a dark, cool place. And we'll check back in about 6 months and we'll give it a taste. So, as always, thanks for watching Smoking and Drinking. Remember to like and subscribe, and Prost!